Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Hello, everybody. Still talking to my friend Larry Trinkhaus. We just pretty much having conversations about our production experience.
Yep.
The last time you were talking about a director that you have worked with.
Yes, one of the directors that I worked with. I started out doing mostly film, and now we started. There seemed to be a lot of work in the auto industry. UAW projects, safety films that we were doing, so that for safety training for plants all across the country, so that these workers were getting injured on the job, and they really wanted to make sure that they had procedures in place. So we would make these various films, and this director was great to work with because he would take the most basic, boring UAW safety training film and turn it into just beautiful storytelling. And how he could design camera shots. Something as simple as people sitting around a table.
Right.
But you had copy that would last for 30 seconds. And nothing's happening, and he came up, he's thinking, he says, this is a great idea. So we start out with someone outside, and the camera will focus on the door, and he comes in and he hands out papers to everybody. So as he's going by, you get to see and introduce the different people at the table. And then so we're there, and we come down and go into close-ups of the people, follow up the paper around over. He goes to a whiteboard, starts to talk, and we've covered the time from all of that, as opposed to just a static shot of
a static wide shot
with talk, close up. It's like, it was brilliant. And he would just over and over come up with these really great shots that would just keep going. And so that was one of the directors that I really worked with. And another director of photography that had a big influence on me was a guy named, what was his name? Larry. I got to get this. I wrote it down because I wanted, Larry Williams.
Okay.
Larry Williams.
Yeah.
He's retired now and moved down to Florida. And when I was early in my career working as a camera assistant, I really learned a lot about lighting and photography from this guy.
Yeah.
And he was out in New York. He was one of the top commercial photographers, DPs at the time. And it made an impression on me because here's this guy that it's like you say you're looking up to. It's like, oh my God, I never thought I'd meet something like this at that level,
Right.
And soft-spoken, never raised his voice, very calmly. We'd go over and say, okay, I think we'll set up here, and we'll start with a 50 millimeter lens, and we'd so I would set all the gear up and watch him, and then I would, same thing with lighting. Beautiful lighting. He came up with these big frames and would shoot the light through the frames. So it's just like, and the order that he would do it, he would set up his source light first, and then he would add little details here and there. But a lot of times it wasn't complicated. It was very simple lighting, and it was gorgeous. I said, wow. And I liked the way he dealt with people. Very considerate. He was so knowledgeable, and then I learned things about and he would be real clear. Says, now if you have any questions, talk to me first. You don't talk to the director. You don't talk to the camera.
Right.
You talk to me, and I'll take care of it if there's a problem in business. And just everything was orderly, calm, and absolutely beautiful cinematography. And he had little things. We were doing a commercial. This is back in the days when I was doing camera assisting. We were doing Highland Appliance, and we were doing and Art Van, and eventually I did some DP work on some of those as well later on. But during this assisting phase, I would watch. They would bring in these top cinematographers from New York and LA to do this stuff in Detroit. And I worked camera assistant with them. So I got to see how they lit shows and work. But so it was I learned a lot from him. And one of the little tricks that I never thought of, and you'd think they would all be super technical. I have to have all the most expensive equipment and all that stuff. And we were using just the 16 SR for a lot of these commercials that we were doing. It wasn't even 35 millimeter. A lot of it was, but the one that I remember specifically, and he wanted to get a shot of these dice coming right up to the lens, but he wanted them so close you can't focus that close.
Right.
And I said, well, we can't focus. He says, oh, that's okay. Just take the lens out, and we'll wrap some thread around the back of the lens.
Yeah.
Couple of things of lens, and then put it in, and it won't quite see you, but that's okay. And I go, what? And I said, we put it back in there, and it the bayonet lenses you would push, it would clip in.
Yeah.
So this was not properly seated. It was just a couple of thread widths short of that. And sure enough, you could put it, and he just set the dice there, and it says, okay, focus all the way to the end. And okay, right there. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So we're not, he was bypassing the correct mounting of the lens because, and later I found he says they actually make shims you can use and just put over the back with the right opening for the back of those lenses for 660 millimeter to be able to cheat the focus out of focus. Nothing else would work. None of the numbers on the lens work, but that shot he could get, and he was just very calm about it. Take your time and we'll work it out. And,
see, and things like that. I have been on jobs and I'll come up with a solution for something. I'll do this. And I'll hear people say, wow, he knows so much. And I thought to myself, I really wish I had come up with this stuff on my own. But I saw somebody else do it. All you do is you do what you see somebody else
learned
does.
that from someone else when he was an assistant. So, we're not born knowing everything.
Right.
And it doesn't just magically appear in your head. You don't just magically get smart or figure stuff.
No.
You learn from other people. You learn from reading. You learn from observing, and that's, what I loved about this business is you're working with different people all the time. And there's so many people that they've learned from other people, and you can learn from them and apply it wherever you want. It may take forever by the time you can apply what you've learned.
Yeah. But it's things you remember. It's things. Yeah. It might be something you may have done 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
But then it's like, oh, okay, I'll just do this.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking, and I think, wow, I'm so glad I remembered that.
Yeah.
Or I saw that.
Exactly.
But this industry is so much fun. Now let me ask you, if you could keep going doing production, would you just go until
you can't do it anymore? Yeah, probably, because I enjoy it. The hours get long though.
Yeah,
this day and age, the hours get long, and it depends on what you're doing.
Well, with that,
I always felt good if I was
important.
doing something that was worthwhile. Something and I like documentary. I felt very fortunate just these last few years. I was able to work on that Innovation Nation at Greenfield Village.
Yeah. You worked on that,
Yeah, worked on that, and B camera, C camera, they had different, and we'd go and do interviews and shots of all the, the historical objects, the Model T. I got to all over that original one and film the guy talking about the history of it. And the Moog. That they have the original Moog from the Moog synthesizer.
Yeah, the bass.
Yeah, they've got that right there. And
really?
We got to touch it and play it, and they, film that, and you feel you're again passing on information. And you mentioned Jeff Jones, and he ended up producing a film on, and that was an interesting project, a real challenge.
Really?
And again, I used something from way back, even in film school, to do that one. He had a client that wanted us to film. He had the world's largest and most important collection of chess sets in the world.
Really?
Millions of dollars worth of chess sets that were, owned by emperors and queens and, artists, a Salvador Dali chess set. I mean, a chess set from the Bauhaus, a chess set from, what was the Russian empress, had the Amber Palace. I mean, just unbelievable historical chess sets. So we were doing a documentary history of the sets and the background, and it's really an art history film. There's nothing about chess. There was no chess movements,
They didn't teach how to play.
or anything, but it's really more of an art history project.
Right.
And we're talking about learning things. When I was in film school, I was working on a project for the with another student at the school, and he got money to do a documentary on this photographer who was in London, a very well-known photographer named Sam Haskins. And so he asked me, we were working together, will you work as a DP on this for me and shoot it? And I go, sure. So we shot it on 35 millimeter film.
Really?
Yeah. And one of the things I saw him doing is how he lit jewelry. We filmed him doing a commercial job for like a magazine, or the newspaper, London Times or something, all those big, beautiful magazine ads. And it was jewelry. And I go, how do you light the jewelry? Because you get all these hot hits and, they're reflections. And he had 2 cards about like this, white cards like this, and another one here. And he just had 2 lights. And this light came across, and this card blocked the direct light hitting the jewelry, but this light hit this card and bounced the soft, lovely light on that side. And this one here, the same thing. So there was no unnatural hits of seeing the lights reflected in the curves of the jewelry and all that. It was just and anything outside was just black. That is brilliant. So I just remembered that. And so when this chess film came up, I said, how am I going to film these chess sets? And we have to have them rotating, and they're all so small, and the details, and how am I going to, and they want a lot of motion. And I says, I'm going to try that method for the jewelry, because these are kind of like that. So, but now I'm doing like 8 foot by 4 foot cards, for the whole chess sets. And we designed this whole thing on black velvet, and we shot about 25 to 30, 40 sets, chess sets with wide close-up in it. And again, I had to get this feeling of like we were going inside the sets. We used a dolly and didn't dolly, but we wanted it as if we were dollying and zooming in. So what we had is we used the boom. Yeah. And then I found a turntable that could hold the weight of some of these bigger chess sets. So that as they were rotating slowly, we could start up here and it would turn, and it seemed like we were flying around and going into the sets and all that stuff. But that's where, again, something I learned way back 20 years earlier. It comes back, but it wasn't my idea. I mean, it's like you learned from watching someone else. So again, that just repeats that thing, is we're always learning.
And that's the thing, I make sure I'm always in a learning mode. I have met people who say, well, I know it all. And I think to myself, well, then I can't use you. Because you think you know it all. I know you haven't even seen it all.
We've all worked with people who think they know it all, and oh boy.
And the thing about that's when you're like, those are the ones I'll be like, okay, you know what? Thanks for coming. I'll pay you for the day, but you can go on home.
And it's funny. Usually you find the people that really are good and are very humble about it.
Hey, I'll say it.
They're humble about it. The ones that are bragging how wonderful I am and how great. You always have to be. They could be okay, but it's just you have to be careful, because somehow doesn't seem right.
But see, the problem, you just say that they can be okay. But you need more than okay.
Yeah, you want. Well, you'd like to.
You need somebody good.
You'd like to.
But because I've directed. I've had guys. I can do this. I can do that. And so And because I ran camera for 25 years. So I would be directing and they couldn't get a shot. And I said, okay, hang on a second. And then I'll do the shot. And I say, okay, now you can go do the easier.
Exactly.
But it's, the education part and there's so many, there's the education, there's the teamwork, there's the the cool stuff.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that makes this career. I can't think of any career that you can do. You can end up in places that you never thought you would dream of.
That's a really important point. That's one of the things. I'm glad you brought that. It's one of the things that I really enjoyed about this is all the places that I got to go, people that I got to meet, things that I got to do. I've seen inside all these different manufacturing plants, and I've seen where early on where everything was manual to all the robots that are doing all the welding and procedures, and you learn from all of these different things. As you see, I've traveled across the country. We've gone a lot of the car photography that we would do. We'd go out to Arizona or California to film beautiful road, winding roads in the mountains
with the leaves and stuff.
And so we're out there in the middle of the most beautiful national parks, and out in Arizona, and we're filming and doing these nice shots, and then it's time for lunch. Well, they bring in a catering, set this up, and we're out in the middle of the beautiful this desert, and I'm looking out across it all. And we're sitting there having this lovely meal out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm going, this is pretty good. How do you describe that?
I know.
You don't get that kind of experience.
Right.
Now, we worked probably 12 hours that day, from like 7 in the morning till late in the day until it got dark. But it's still a great experience. And even the rough shoots that are long and you're working many hours, it ends. And you get to go home.
and then you're ready
to go again.
I did a shoot when I was in elementary school. I heard about the salt mine. In Michigan.
Right.
And I was like, wow. And I was on a shoot. We went in the salt.
Did you get to go on the ones in Detroit?
1,500 feet down. There was one. The first one was 1,000 feet. We went 1,500 feet down. We went in the original elevator, which was enough for me and you to stand face to face.
Yeah.
And all the parts that were down there, they had to cut them into pieces and put them on this little elevator, and then weld them back together. And it was stuff that was like from the 20s. There's no rust down there.
Man, yeah.
So they just stopped using it. They just leave these giant saws. I'm looking at the tires and I'm going, you mean to tell me?
How did they get
They cut this tire, and tire this, you're looking up at the top of the tire, and they cut it, and it shoots like that.
Yeah, who gets to experience those things? Right. That's one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. You just never know. Like one of the things that's memorable to me is I was early on. We were shooting 16 millimeter. I had my own camera. I think there's a company called Visual Concepts.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Dick Yarmy.
Yeah.
He was a Marine, and he's a colonel, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knew somebody that knew somebody else, and who was doing a documentary on Air Force One.
Ooh.
So they needed to film the Charlton Heston, who was doing the narration, and they needed to go out to Andrews Air Force Base, film some of the generals there, the Air Force people, film Air Force One on board, film the old Air Force, because they were coming up with the 747. It used to be the 707. That's the one that Kennedy had, and they brought back his body after the assassination on the 707, and then later on. So it was, Reagan was president, and so he asked me, will you come and can you shoot this? We're doing a few days, and we're going to go to Washington, D.C. and, at Andrews Air Force Base, and we got to get all your FBI clearances and all that stuff. So way ahead of time, they had to do all the security clearances and everything. And we got Gaffer out of Washington, D.C. And we went there, and the first thing that we had to do was interview with Charlton Heston and President Bush.
Oh, come on. See?
At the White House.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, I was a little nervous. and the two camera shoot. It's just that was kind of like the introduction, with Charlton Heston there with it. And I found out we're going to the White House. No, they have a room, which I discovered after we got there, in the executive office building. And I think there's tunnels or something when they get over there. But it's replica of one of the rooms in the White House, like you're in the library or in this other room, and that's where you can film.
Yeah,
and it's got all these windows, and I go, how did they do the windows? And I finally went over and looked. It's just, they're not windows. It's fake windows. They had painted wall, the psych, and they've had this, and they had like shears so you couldn't tell, and it was all lit, and it was all lit ahead of time.
Right.
You know, so we did that, and then, and it was interesting. After that, they, I see all this whispering going on in the corner, and the producer came up to me and said, can you, will you do a shot of the president? He can't make it to this fundraising thing, and he just wants to say hello. And there's a little short 1 minute, hello, good luck with your campaign thing. And I said, sure, okay.
Yeah.
So I actually filmed this thing in the same area, just a plain background. And I go, okay, I better not screw this up. Making sure that,
And you do what you know how to do. Like I got hired to do the biggest shoot. It was an 8-camera shoot at Cobo, and they brought a truck out of Illinois. It was from Trio Video. It was 30 days old, $3 million truck. Oh my goodness!
Wow!
And I sat there, and I had all these people working at Cobo, and I sat in the middle and I looked at them and I thought, if I mess this up, this is for nothing. And I thought, no, I'm just going to do what I know how to do.
Just do what you
do. What you know.
You get nervous, but you say, you just refocus.
You got to push it away. Yeah, you do.
Done this before. You just do what you know how.
And even,
don't try something different at that time.
Even if I started nervous, because you're doing what you have to do, you go
settle right into it.
Your thing is like, oh, I forgot to be
nervous. After you get going, it's like riding a bike, right?
Yeah,
if you haven't done it in a long time, you go, I don't know if I remember. You get up there and it all comes back.
But the industry is just so much fun.
Yeah.
When I got into it, I wouldn't tell people what I did because I figured they'd find out how much fun I was having.
Yeah, right.
And they want to do it.
And they wouldn't want to pay you, right?
And the thing about it is, I didn't even know what it paid. The pay, because the production was the ice cream, and let's say the cake, and then when I found out how much what it paid, I was like, oh, that's the icing for the cake.
There you go. Exactly.
But I when I started, I would do it for free if they would let me come on camera.
Yeah.
Because I figured
you
get more experience,
shooting,
getting more experience.
It's fun. It's a challenge. I mean, not all jobs were fun. I remember one of the jobs that we did for Goodyear, and we flew to Texas to this metal warehouse, and we filmed changing tires, truck tires, for all day long in no air conditioning. That was. You're just sweating and changing. We're working there.
Mine was an engine.
Hours and hours. So it's not all glamour.
Mine was an engine.
But it is still interesting.
We were shooting for Ford. We went to an engine plant.
Engine plant. Okay.
Oh my goodness, oil was on everything.
Yep. Now, that was the early days. Yep.
Just testing oil, just shooting out, and then when you get done, you have to take all the equipment out. Clean all the oil off because it's all mostly rental stuff.
Right. You can't return that back. Yeah.
But the thing about I wouldn't change a thing. And if I could keep going, my last words in life would be, that's a wrap. And
exactly. But technology changes, and that's the other thing. You've got we're talking about what makes it successful. I think one of the things you do have to do in this business is, because it's technical. Yeah. The technology changes. So there wasn't much film after a while. All that corporate work went to video.
Yeah.
And then from video, it went to high definition video, which was great because that you could use all your film techniques, because you see it's much more film-like when we started. And I remember that transition. And you just got to be able to, continue to learn about the new things, like when the new digital DSLRs are coming in, and so much can be done on those now. So it changes the business. So there isn't, and a good example of this is, my daughter, you know. So, Grandpa, what do you do when you work? Oh, I do videography and, you know, professionally. She says, you mean you take videos? I said, yeah. Well, everybody does that. Anybody can do that. What do you mean? You know, it's changed to where everybody's doing it.
It's kind of got
and so it's a different world now. It's harder to make a living, I would think. It's still out there, you know, and you got to find out where your niche is or what's available. Yeah. You know, in terms of that. But, you know, I remember the auto show stuff. We'd be down there working camera operator. I wasn't a DP, but camera operator. Yeah. We'd have 3 cameras. And for the big Chrysler shows, they would do these incredible extravaganzas and stuff they would do. We would be down there for a week rehearsing. Rehearsing it all out, working with either talent or entertainment or different props and special effects that they would do, you know, and they needed the camera, and we would think, and we had real tight camera cues. We had to do this. We had to learn it, make notes, and but you know, those kinds of jobs just, you know, then it gradually got to where, okay, auto show, we need you for one day. You know, for this, you know, it came down to one day from like weeks before. Right. And, you know, so things changed. You know, the whole requirement of what they need to do is different now. And so we were there this early days that we're talking about. We traveled all over. The video was still quite new and impressive. Yeah, and a lot of companies, it was a big deal to have a video to show at an event or things, and now it's kind of very commonplace. And
the commonality of it, but still, I think the skill
to do
and the skill to do it at the level we were doing it's easier because you do have modern technology,
right?
But it has lost the respect.
Well, there isn't as much freelance work now because a lot of companies can hire people and do it themselves. Kids are there are a lot of people at schools that are learning how to do this on video now. And before, you had to have, for film, a lot of very expensive equipment before you could take one and you had to process that film. Now you can get a DSLR and get beautiful images, put it on a card, and it doesn't, you know, very inexpensive compared to early on. Right. So those things have caused, you know, have impacted the business and how it functions. There's still, I mean, if you watch TV right now, there's all kinds of shows and there's all kinds of documentaries and different. So it's all going on. It's just shifting into different areas and the kinds of things. And the here in Detroit, a lot of our work was automotive related, and that was like our base level that we got to maintain your career, and then you would have these lovely little bits that were wonderful, you know, on top of that.
Well, we have come to the end of our conversation. Okay. It's really good. I'd say we could talk for another couple of hours.
Well, you know, it's our career. Yeah. And
but I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you.
Pleasure. It's good seeing you again. It's good seeing you.
But I'd just like to say, you know, if you're interested in conversation, send me a message on the site, or you can go to EMERJ.TV from any browser and take a look at the conversations. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.